Hello and welcome back to 6 simple intentions for staying sane during COVID-19. I'm so happy that you are back with me today for intention 4. Hopefully you are gaining more and more sanity and becoming stronger every day. I'm not sure about you, but as the world is reopening now, I am finding myself far more stressed, finding myself anxious in a way that I wasn't when we were required to shelter in place. That's taken me back a little bit. But I'm really glad that I have these tools, these 6 tools, these intentions, these strategies, because they're really helping me more now than they did when I was developing them, which is often the case. And so I'm grateful. It's very important to just be proactive in our lives and put emotional health tools into our toolbox so that when we find ourselves in a crisis, a global pandemic, we can be resilient. We have a capacity to bounce back from a difficult situation. And we have spiritual resilience, which then allows us to know ourselves and to understand God in a deeper way. We press into it. We go through it. You know, I always say this in my practice, the only way through is through. You just got to keep going through. So let's just review quickly our first 3 intentions. 1 is calm your nervous system. Yes. Oh my goodness. 2, open your heart to new daily rhythms. And today I'm going to offer one of those in intention 4. 3 is to voice your needs clearly and compassionately. And as we discussed in that intention, sometimes we have to find our voice before we can use our voice. And so I gave you the beautiful book. I didn't give it to you. I suggested you get the book Say What You Mean by Oren Sofer. And it will help you. It will help you find your voice. And I just think it's a fabulous, user-friendly, nuts and bolts approach. Today, we are entering into something that is challenging. Initiate and implement a hushing hour. Yeah. There was a phrase that came out during this pandemic, and it was, things have gone from rush hour to hush hour. And I thought, that is brilliant. That is so true. And I jumped on that, and I'm borrowing it, and I am imploring and pleading, and I could get down on my hands and knees and beg you to initiate a hushing hour in your life. Whether you're married, single, divorced, whatever you are. Maybe you're a teacher, and when you get back to the classroom, initiate a hushing 5 minutes. Play the quiet game. We used to play the quiet game in the car with the kids. But a time of hushing, of silencing all digital distractions and putting cloths or little Post-its over the clocks in your house so that you don't really know the time. Makes a big difference. This past weekend, I spent an all-day Saturday in a virtual silent retreat. My older daughter and I are taking a mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR, course from Brown University. And boy, it was challenging, beyond challenging. I was so agitated. I did not want to do it. I did not want to take my whole Saturday and be silent virtually in front of a screen. It was a beautiful day outside. I wanted to be outside. So I found myself just super, super anxious, super agitated. And I've learned in my life, I've lived quite a while now, and many decades, that when something gives me that much resistance internally, and I feel that agitated, that I better pay attention. Because it means I'm getting stretched. It means I'm being asked to come outside of my comfort zone. And not one of us likes to come outside of our comfort zone unless we invite ourselves to it. And even then, it's a nice idea, but then once you're in the middle of it and it's highly uncomfortable, it's like the thought of going camping and then you get there and it's a deluge and it rains and storms all night and you're in this much water. Yeah, right. Our idyllic sense becomes reality and that's not comfortable, and then we get agitated. So I got agitated, but I worked through it. I pressed into it. I went all day and made it to the end. And now as I sit as the recipient of that, in hindsight, I know that I need to implement that kind of hushing into my daily rhythm. And maybe even into, like, if you're just starting out, maybe implement a hushing hour once a week to acclimate your family or yourself to it. So what does that mean to initiate a hushing hour? Well, it means that you're going to embrace the more contemplative spiritual practices like the discipline of solitude, silence, and stillness. You are going to implement mindfulness, really paying attention and being aware of what is around you, not rushing through life, not going 500 miles an hour and involved in 5,000 activities. It's a slower pace. So I write in my recent book, Overcoming Hurtful Words, on page 114, lean into a slower pace. In the waiting room, life slows down, and in a strange way, we finally slow down. As time passes, if we cooperate and lean into practicing patience, something magical can happen. Previously important schedules are interrupted by the eternal. Things that earlier in the day seemed critical, somehow they lose their sense of immediacy. Oftentimes, friends and family either call or appear with reinforcements and emotional support. Personal agendas are exchanged for God's agenda. Anxiety lifts and gives way to acceptance, the gateway to God's peace. The gateway to God's peace. So we want to lean into a slower pace. As a result of that practice in Wait for the Peace That Passes Understanding, I talk a lot about the waiting room. And I love this word quote from Sue Monk Kidd. And I'm going to replace the word that she uses, crisis, with pandemic. While a pandemic is a summons into transformation, we must always recognize that it's an advent into an entanglement of feelings. Part of living a pandemic creatively is identifying and understanding the feelings that come with it. Otherwise, we don't have a pandemic. It has us. Yeah, we've talked a lot about this. What's in my life that's not serving me anymore in this pandemic? What do I need to leave in the post, in pre-pandemic, and not bring into post-pandemic? So I also say to read page 128, so I'm going to flip there real quick. What really matters? Time in the waiting room ultimately leads to the most important question of all. And this is really the question I want to give to you today. How do you want to live the rest of your life? We have such a defining marker here that there's only been one other marker in 1918, a global pandemic, 1918. So how do you want to live the rest of your life? We have an opportunity here to actually experience transformation. Time in this very special place of waiting helps us see that we truly want to become in our own lives a heart-lifting person, a person who's living a meaningful life. I love this. So we want to, when we hush, when we get quiet, there will be an entanglement of feelings. There's no doubt about it. So what are we going to do with those? So I have some simple guidelines here in this simple PDF, The Waiting Room. I'm going to upload that to our Facebook online community. It's private as private can be on social media. Stronger Every Day, an online community, a heart-lifting community. Please join that if you have not joined it already. If you're not on Facebook, I'll put it on the link in Instagram. So you just go over there on my profile on Instagram and click it, and you will be able to get that PDF. If you're not on social media at all, I implore you, I ask you, I invite you to subscribe to my e-newsletter, which comes out once a week, packed with continual resources and inspiration and encouragement and tools for you to be emotionally healthy, spiritually authentic. And you will also be alerted to all the new podcasts, which podcasts are just all the overflow from my therapy work and my personal experiences. Excuse me, getting excited. So as we just bring this to a close, today will be a little bit shorter because I want you to have some time to maybe experience a little hushing, a little quiet. So in Saturday's beautiful silent retreat that I was resisting so much, we did a sitting meditation based on something called the mountain meditation. And I'm going to read that to you right now, and I just want you to be silent. If you can, if you're not driving, or if you're somewhere where you're by yourself, and maybe if you're not, then just wait and do this a little later. Stay up late, 15 minutes later than normal, or get up 15 minutes earlier. Put some headphones on, get in a quiet spot, just close your eyes and listen. And see what it speaks to you. This meditation is normally done in a sitting position, either on the floor or a chair, and begins by sensing into the support you have from the chair or the cushion. Sensing, meaning feel it. Paying attention to the actual sensations of contact. Find a position of stability and poise, upper body balanced over your hips and shoulders in a comfortable but alert posture. Hands on your lap or on your knees, arms hanging by their own weight, like heavy curtains, stable and relaxed. Actually sensing into your body, feeling your feet, your legs, your hips, your lower and upper body, your arms, your shoulders, your neck, your head. And when you are ready, allowing your eyes to close, bringing awareness to the breath, the actual physical sensations, the feeling of each breath as it comes in and as it goes out. Letting the breath be just as it is, without trying to change or regulate it in any way. Allowing it to flow easily and naturally, with its own rhythm and pace. Knowing you are breathing perfectly well right now. Nothing for you to do. Allowing your body to be still and sitting with a sense of dignity, a sense of resolve, a sense of being complete and whole in this very moment, with your posture reflecting this sense of wholeness. As you sit here, letting an image form in your mind's eye of the most magnificent or beautiful mountain you know or have seen or can imagine, letting it gradually come into greater focus. And even if it doesn't come as a visual image, allowing the sense of this mountain and feeling its overall shape, its lofty peak or peaks high in the sky, the large base rooted in the bedrock of the Earth's crust, its steep or gently sloping sides. Noticing how massive it is, how solid, how unmoving, how beautiful, whether from afar or up close. Perhaps your mountain has snow blanketing its top and trees reaching down to the base, or rugged granite sides. There may be streams and waterfalls cascading down the slopes. There may be one peak or a series of peaks, or with meadows and high lakes. Observing it, noting its qualities, and when you feel ready, seeing if you can bring the mountain into your own body, sitting here so that your body and the mountain in your mind's eye become one. So that as you sit here, you share in the massiveness and the stillness and majesty of the mountain. You become the mountain. Grounded in the sitting posture, your head becomes the lofty peak, supported by the rest of the body and affording a panoramic view. Your shoulders and arms, the sides of the mountain. Your buttocks and legs, the solid base rooted to your cushion or your chair. Experiencing in your body a sense of uplift from deep within your pelvis and spine. With each breath, as you continue sitting, becoming a little more a breathing mountain, alive and vital, yet unwavering in your inner stillness, completely what you are, beyond words and thought, a centered, grounded, unmoving presence. As you sit here, becoming aware of the fact that as the sun travels across the sky, the light and shadows and colors are changing virtually moment by moment in the mountain's stillness. And the surface teems with life and activity, streams, melting snow, waterfall, plants, wildlife. As the mountain sits, seeing and feeling how night follows day and day follows night, how night follows day and day follows night. The bright warming sun followed by the cool night sky studded with stars, and the gradual dawning of a new day. Through it all, the mountain just sits, experiencing change in each moment, constantly changing, yet always just being itself. It remains still as the seasons flow into one another and as the weather changes moment by moment and day by day. Calmness abiding all through the changes. In summer, there is no snow on the mountain except perhaps for the very peaks or in crags shielded from direct sunlight. In the fall, the mountain may wear a coat of brilliant fire colors. In winter, a blanket of snow and ice. In any season, it may find itself at times enshrouded in clouds or fog or pelted by freezing rain. People may come to see the mountain and comment how beautiful it is, or how it's not a good day to see the mountain, that it's too cloudy or rainy or foggy or dark. None of this matters to the mountain, which remains at all times its essential self. Clouds may come and clouds may go. Tourists may like it or they may not. The mountain's magnificence and beauty are not changed one bit by whether people see it or not, seen or unseen, in sun or clouds, broiling or frigid, day or night. It just sits, being itself. At times visited by violent storms, buffeted by snow and rain and winds of unthinkable magnitude. Through it all, the mountain sits. Spring comes, trees leaf out, flowers bloom in the high meadows and slopes, birds sing in the trees once again. Streams overflow with the waters of melting snow. Through it all, the mountain continues to sit, unmoved by the weather, by what happens on its surface, by the world of appearances, remaining its essential self. Through the seasons, the changing weather, the activity ebbing and flowing on its surface. In the same way as we sit in meditation, we can learn to experience the mountain. We can embody the same central, unwavering stillness and groundedness in the face of everything that changes in our own lives, over seconds, over hours, over years. In our lives and in our meditation practice, we experience constantly the changing nature of mind and body and of the outer world. We have our own periods of light and darkness, activity and inactivity, our moments of color and our moments of drabness. It's true that we experience storms of varying intensity and violence in the outer world and in our own minds and bodies, buffeted by high winds, by cold, by rain. We endure periods of darkness and pain as well as the moments of joy and uplift. Even our appearance changes constantly, experiencing a weather of its very own. By becoming the mountain here in our meditation practice, sitting and grounding, we can link up with its strength and stability and adopt them for our own. We can use this energy to support our energy, to encounter each moment with greater mindfulness, equanimity, and clarity. It may help us to see that our thoughts and feelings, our preoccupations, our emotional storms and crises, even the things that happen to us, are very much like the weather on the mountain. We tend to take it all personally, but its strongest characteristic is impersonal. The weather of our own lives is not to be ignored or denied. It is to be encountered, honored, felt, known for what it is, and held in awareness. And in holding it in this way, we come to know a deeper silence and stillness and wisdom. We experience a hushing. Mountains have this to teach us, and much more, if we can let it in. So if you find you resonate in some way with the strength and stability of the mountain as you have been sitting here, it may be helpful to use it from time to time to remind you of what it means to sit mindfully with resolve and wakefulness in true stillness, in the hushing. We are strong, like the mountain. Until next time.